All right, Dr. Bell, I'm super pumped to have you back on the Better Humanology podcast. We had you. You were one of the closer to the beginning episodes. We talked about mental toughness in your book, The Hinge, and now I have you back on because you took on a pretty crazy feat. So maybe you can tell people about it and maybe why you wanted to do it. If you want to hop into that. Um,
Sure, absolutely.
yeah, but before we do that, I do want to give you a quick second just to tell the listeners. Maybe they didn't catch the first episode with you, which I highly recommend you guys go listen to. But maybe a quick introduction about yourself before we talk about what you put yourself up to recently.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my name is Dr. Rob Bell, and I'm a sports psychology coach. Work with athletes, coaches, and teams all on mental toughness. And it's about how we play our best when it matters the most, and the other part is then just how we cope and deal and handle the adversity in life, which isn't a matter of if; it's just a matter of when.
Right. And I love your work, man. I love everything you're putting out. Your books. I think it's all great stuff.
Thanks, man.
So let's move into what you got yourself into recently. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. It was just it was like a Disney night with the family, and watching a movie. And what came across my screen was that it was a half Ironman that was coming up, and this was a Saturday night, so less than 2 weeks. And right away I was like, man, I wonder if I could do a half Ironman in less than 2 weeks of training. I've always been active. I kind of followed. You ran a marathon without much training, but I've always been active and core's always strong. But I had been maybe doing 4 mile runs and some swims here and there, but I was in no way of training shape. And my philosophy in life, really, Jared, it comes to this. It's like I kind of wanted to cross to training for a marathon, which takes a lot of dedication, a lot of sacrifice. It's kind of a cross between that and then just jumping out of an airplane. So all you got to do for jumping out of an airplane is just sign up and then go. And
Right.
so it was a little bit of cross between this.
That's awesome, man. So, and again, I'll give a little backstory for the listeners. So, obviously, everything at Into 3 Fitness and Better Humanology, we're hugely into mental toughness. It's a question I ask every single guest when they're on. What I think that their best advice for not only becoming a better human, but what they think it takes to build mental toughness, and that's what kind of Dr. Bell's specialty, and something that I did. It's been about I guess 2 or 3 years now. I ran a marathon without training, and it was a huge mental toughness push. It was difficult to do, but happy to say I've done it. Tell me a little bit about during the race. How was your self-talk? Was there a struggle? What was the mental toughness like? I mean, you are, like you said, you're a sports psychology coach, but I know that just being a coach myself in strength and conditioning, that sometimes being a coach doesn't always help you internally. So how did it help you? How did you get through it?
That's right. Oh, I totally agree. I mean, we're not only working on our game, we're working on ourselves. And I made sure I had a couple coaches that for going into this. I had about 10 days of training, and then just made sure that stretching was really important. Shut it down completely about 2 days before the race. The swimming wasn't really a concern. I mean, it's a 1.2 mile swim, 56-mile bike, and then the half marathon. And I'm pretty proficient in the swimming. So it's more of just staying relaxed, and that's just really kind of a warm up. That part went well, no problems. When I was on the bike, the 56-mile bike, and then it was about 2 loops, and the one moment where I specifically remember where everything fell apart was on mile 32, and I'm kind of cresting this hill. When I come up to the top of this hill, Jared, my tire goes flat. Now, I'm not a biker. I'm not a biker. That's why I don't sign up for triathlons. It's just not the thing I do. I haven't even ridden a bike in probably 10 years. Like I had to borrow somebody's bike for this race. And when I'm borrowing his bike and I'm kind of asking about that, okay, what happens if I get a flat tire? And he's like, look, you've got these gator skins on here. You're going to be fine. And, they've got 2,000 miles on them. You're not going to get a flat. So I didn't have anything. And when I get to the top of that bike, when I get to the top of that hill with that flat tire, I'm like a 4-year-old kid. I'm completely helpless. Like I have no idea what I'm going to do. And I'm trying to recalibrate, stay calm at the same time. And people are now just going by me. And, it was just one of those moments, Jared. Some guy stopped, asked me if I had anything. I just said no, gave me his tire, and then the changing tools. And another guy stopped then and asked, said, do you know what you're doing? And, for that split second, I was thinking like that machismo, like, yeah, I know how to change a tire. But I was honest and I said, no, I have no idea. and he stopped and fixed my tire for me.
That's awesome.
And I was, this was his race and he was able to stop and help somebody that didn't even know. And I thought that was just so cool because I would ask myself, man, would I have stopped? And it's totally changed my outlook a lot of, just on so many things, man, just from that example, because that was just a hinge moment. And, if it wasn't for him, my race would have been done. And that was the moment. And then, the bike went well. The run was very difficult. That's where the mental toughness and the strategies, I think, really had to come into play. But, finished, man, it was 7 hours. And then it was really freeing up because there was no expectations for the race. And that part was actually pretty cool. Just keep moving. Just keep moving.
Yeah, man, that's incredible. I know. So for this podcast, Talon and I, the co-host, we did a 100-mile single-day bike race, and again, without training, just kind of as a mental toughness push. I did a podcast about that one. That was last August. I might do the race again this year, but man, that was just that was brutal. The being in the saddle for that long and just like I talk about it in the podcast, I had no idea what I was doing. I was wearing basically like cargo shorts and a shirt and had like a 20-pound backpack on full of supplies, like I was going on some sort of trek. I was just doing it all wrong, like getting all sorts of looks with everybody who's out there in the right gear, the right attire. But I was on a steel framed single speed bike. And the only reason I bring this up is because I was super nervous that something was going to break or go out. And I don't know how many people, I saw blowing tires with these $2,000 and $3,000 bikes. And I was just like, nope, I'm just going to keep going. I couldn't stop to help anyone because I didn't know how to help them either. I would have just ended up screwing up their bike more than it's worth. And anyway, I think that's awesome that people were stopping during their race, because when I was doing what I was doing, I didn't care at all. Like I could stop for an hour and it'd be whatever. But it's awesome that people were stopping to help you, finish the race, and you're able to do that. So tell me more about the run. Like what? So how often did you say you run? You do a couple 4-mile runs a week, or is that just monthly?
I think so. I mean, it's I'm not as fit as you, man, but I mean, this is a core component of my life. So, I mean, there's 6 days a week I'm working out, and I'll run, 2, 3. And so that was, I've done marathons before. I've done a lot of races before. And one of the reasons why, Jared, that I signed up was because of that. Like my speed just hasn't been there in the past couple of years. I'm hitting that age. And it's taken a real hit to my ego. I mean, people are beating me in races, and I'm like, man, that's really tough to take. And I'll admit, like, the motivation for doing speed work isn't there. I mean, they've got so much going on. So it's like, that was one of the reasons why I signed up. It's like, man, I can keep moving. Like, I know I can do that. And, the strategy during the race, Jared, was simply this, man. It was just make it to the water station. And that's what I think, like, a lot of times, just make it to the water station.
Those micro goals, yeah.
That's right. I'd make it to the water station. I would walk that. And then right immediately, I would set that goal, like, all right, I'm walking 50 yards here. When I hit that tree, I'm going to start running again. And I'd walk that, hit that tree, and then I'd go ahead and start running. And my pace was actually good. I probably stopped. And again, it didn't stop. I always kept moving, but I probably walked a little bit more than I wanted to, but the training just wasn't there, man. And
right.
But that was actually what kept me sane. And it was like, I can at least make it to that house. And There were parts on that run that were really, really tough. And then I always think it's just because mile 5 sucks, it doesn't mean mile 8 is going to suck. Like there's always that second wind that we're going to catch if we just keep moving and stay positive and stay in the moment. And I think that was always the big strategy. I learned that one early on. Just make it to that tree. And then we make it to that tree, just set that goal of when we're going to start running again.
And I love that, man. I think that, that's just so awesome. And think about what you've built mentally to now, if you do train the next time, like it's just going to be a breeze. And so you've built up that capacity even further from a mental standpoint to withstand that. So this is a relatively shorter podcast, but I did want to get your story because I think it's amazing. So in closing, I would like to know if you have, because the reason I like to do this, the untrained marathon, the untrained 100-mile bike race, and, love to like share a story like what you're doing, this untrained triathlon. What do you recommend, or, it just really inspires people. And so what do you recommend someone do? I mean, I obviously don't recommend someone who hasn't worked out their whole life go hit a marathon up. I throw those disclaimers all over the place, but someone who thinks that they can, achieve one of these goals, but maybe they're just not pulling the trigger. What's some advice you can give to them to just get out of their comfort zone and do it?
Yeah, I think it's this, and I'm writing it in the book. So, how to crush a half Ironman in less than 2 weeks. And one of the things that came to me is, look, we're either training for it or we're testing for it. And what I mean by that is like when we sign up, when we commit right away, now we're training for it. But too often we don't sign up. We want to test for it. We want to see, man, am I good enough to be able to do this if I sign up? And automatically the mindset's different. We start testing ourselves during a training run and during practice when the competition isn't here yet. Like there's no reason to, try to test yourself if you're ready for it. Where if we sign up, if we commit, now every workout that we're doing, every run, now we're training for it. And it's a totally different mindset. So I just think the number one thing is, we'll say like, look, find your why and then sign up. I think just sign up and then find your why. Find out a reason about why you're going to do it. And it's interesting because they got these new things now. It's like you can cover your bets when you sign up. Like you can sign up and it'll say, hey, if you can't make it that day, do you want to go ahead and pay a little extra and, save your fee? Like if you can't make it. And it's like, no way, man, like burn the ships, like sign up. And once you sign up, the mindset immediately changes. Now, every little dormant factor, I think, in our minds and our bodies starts directing us towards that goal. And like, we're going to find a way. So just sign up. That's the biggest thing.
I love it, man. All right. And I have your answers to the Better Humanology questions from last time. I won't run you through those again, but I'll probably play them again. But Dr. Bell, I really appreciate your time and sharing this story with us, man.
If it wasn't for you, I did your accountability piece. I made sure I told as many people as I could, not from a, impress standpoint, but just to press upon, like, I needed people, the more and more people I told about it, what I was going to do, it made me commit to it. Well, it's like, I can't tell all these people and then not finish.
I know, man, that's so big with so many of us, that social influence of just, yeah, if I tell that, I mean, that happens to me with Into 3 Fitness all the time. If I send out an email to a lot of people telling them I'm going to do something, there's no way I'm not going to do it now. It's a lot. It just goes so far. That's all I can do is agree with you. Is I think that's a great strategy and great technique, and I'm really glad that,
That's why you're in the book, man.
Awesome. I'm excited to read the book. It'll be awesome, man. All right, dude. So any parting shots for the listeners?
Man, you just do such a good job, man. It's like so much to be able to get like the little nuggets and little pieces. And, what I think is the best part about having a coach is it gets us outside of our own head. And because we all go to that dark place sometimes, we all go to, not feeling good enough or feeling weak or whatever it is. And the discipline part really always gets us through. But I just think it's important of having a coach, man. And, just that daily motivation, daily inspiration is huge. And I think you just do such an awesome job at that, man. I salute you for it.
I appreciate it, man. Well, definitely check out Dr. Bell. You can go to his website. Is it drbell.com or is
Yeah,
it
drrobbell.com.
drrobbell.com? And you can hit him up on Twitter or check out his site or any of his books. All great stuff. But other than that, Dr. Bell, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for being on the podcast.
All right, thanks, Coach. See you, buddy.
See ya.